Okay, welcome everybody. I am Dan Albrecht. We are the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission, and we are what's known as the Clean Water Service Provider, Northern Lake Champlain Basin direct to lake drainages, sometimes known as Basin 5. And the purpose of the meeting here, you guys should all have the agenda, and all it's on the link that I sent you. But the purpose of the meeting here is, it's our inaugural meeting of the Basin Water Quality Council, and we just want to take care of some business items to set ourselves going forward with a regular meeting schedule and all that. So the agenda, again, we'll do some quick introductions here, see if there's any changes to the agenda here. Okay, sorry. Molly's there, great. Right, and excuse me for that. We'll go, there's Kent. So I'll give see if after the introductions, I'll give an overview of just how we got here, sort of from a regulatory standpoint. I'll just sort of touch briefly on some of the initial work of the Basin Water Quality Council in terms of sort of like policy statements, operating principles, endorsements of, using open meetings law, public participation policies, things like generally speaking, using Robert's rules, except for special rules, which you can adopt. If you guys can turn off your mics, that'd be great. I get a little bit of feedback, so turn off your microphone. That'd be great, thanks. And after that, just sort of an overview, we'll do the sort of seating the 9 appointed members, because all of you were appointed by respective organizations or clusters of categories of organizations: watershed protection groups, municipalities, NRCDs, regional planning commissions, and land conservation organizations. And then after that's done, the board then appoints the alternates. And after we do that, we'll hopefully we'll have folks who want to be the chair and the vice chair to 1-year terms, and then we'll agree on the regular meeting schedule of this Water Quality Council. So that's what we've got there. So I'll sort of facilitate things going on, and then the very close of the meeting will be I'll let the chair and vice chair just sort of close out the meeting there. So that's the plan. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of go down the participant list and just call out the names. If you just want to turn your camera on and say hi, wave, whatever, you can just wave if you want. You don't have to say too much, So again, I'm Dan Albrecht, Regional Planning Commission, and we are the designated clean water service provider, administrator, as it were, for Basin 5 in this project. Andrea Morganti. All right, and Andrea is with the Lewis Creek Association, and she lives in Heinsberg. Karen Bates. And Karen Bates is our DEC Basin Planner. Charlie Baker.
Everyone.
Charlie Baker is the Executive Director of the Regional Planning Commission.
Sorry, I turned on my mic, not my camera. Apologies. Good to see everybody.
Christine Dougherty.
Hi, with Town of Williston, just observing.
Thanks. Dave Wheeler. All right, Dave Wheeler.
Sorry, it says my camera's not working. It was working when I entered. I'm with the city of South Burlington, and yeah, sorry for the camera not working.
Okay. Dia Devlin.
Hi, I'm with the Northwest Regional Planning Commission and I'm observing as well.
Oh, great, and you're outside. Good for you. Dean Pierce.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Pierce with the Northwest Regional Planning Commission and one of the Regional Planning Commission reps on the council, or will be.
Catherine. Anyway, Catherine Dimitri, she's the executive director of the Northwest RPC.
Oh, there, it was a major delay, so hello. As Dan said, I'm Catherine Dimitrick, Executive Director of NRPC, and hopefully, if you all agree, we'll be seated as an alternate today.
Great. Good. All right, thanks. Don McFeeters. If you can't find the mic, Don, that's okay. I'll introduce you. Don is with the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain. He's one of the board of directors. Emily Alger.
Hi, I'm Emily Alger. I'm with the South Hero Land Trust. And is that the entire instruction or is there more?
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
it. Just waving off.
Okay.
This is we're just getting started here. So, Emily Charrington.
I'm Emily Charrington. I'm with the Town of St. Albans Stormwater Utility.
Great. All right, Jared Carpenter.
Afternoon all, Jared Carpenter, Lake Champlain Committee, also just listening in.
Great. Okay. Jill Roch, and then Karen Adams is next.
Good afternoon. I'm Jill Arachi, Executive Director of the Vermont Association of Conservation Districts, and I am a member of the public today.
All right, thanks. Karen Adams and then Kate Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Adams. I work for the town of Colchester, but I believe my participation in this group is being a representative of the RPC.
Yeah, she's on our Clean Water Advisory Committee. Thank you. Kate Kelly and then Ken Mervis.
Yeah, hi, Kate Kelly with Lewis Creek Association, just listening in today.
Okay, thanks. Ken and then Kent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ken Mervis. I'm in Grand Isle representing I'm a municipal representative, and I have spent the last 40 plus years of my career as an environmental educator and writer.
Okay. Kent and then Miles.
Yeah, Kent Henderson, the chair of the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain and a resident of Georgia Center, Vermont.
All right, Miles and then Molly.
Yes, I'm Miles Waite. I'm a consulting hydrogeologist in Burlington, Vermont, and affiliated with the CCRPC as an alternate.
Yeah, he's also on our RPC board. Molly and then Regina.
Hi there, District Manager for Grand Isle County Natural Resources Conservation District, and I will be serving on the Basin Water Quality Council Board.
Thanks. Regina and then Remy.
Hi all, Regina Mahoney, Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission staff, just here listening in on the first exciting meeting.
I'll do my best, boss. Remy and then Roger.
Here, District Manager for Winooski.
Thanks.
Winooski NRCD, sitting on the Basin 5 Water Quality Council.
Right. Thank you. Roger Kraus.
Hi, this is Roger. I'm a director for the Lake Iroquois Association, Lake Iroquois, and I'm an alternate for this.
Great. Tom Breezelden.
Hi, Tom Brizelden from the town of North Hero.
Great. And Lauren Weston.
Lauren Weston, District Manager for the Franklin County NRCD, and I will be hopefully an alternate.
All right. Is there anybody who did not introduce themselves? Okay. I'm going to share my screen here. And going to run through some slides here pretty quick just to get everybody kind of like why we're here and all that. Okay, everybody should see that thing that says meeting slides, and I'll go through fairly fast here, but you know, it'll help give you a quick overview of how we got here and why. So again, the agenda, I'll kind of just give a little sense of regulatory, well, how we got to this. I'll touch on the issue of phosphorus load reduction, sort of preliminary data. I will talk about our startup task that we, the Chittenden County RPC, as the Clean Water Service Provider, the administrator, are going to be carrying out, have been working on, and will continue these next couple of months. We'll talk about the role of this Basin Water Quality Council. What are your responsibilities? Touch a little bit, as I mentioned, on policies that the Basin Water Quality Councils will need to adopt, you know, checklist or affirmative statements, things like that. Yes, we abide by Vermont Opens Meeting Law, et cetera. And then we'll get into some of the formal action items here. Special shout out to Dean Pierce of Northwest RPC. I borrowed many of these slides or the concept from him, and as well as Vermont DEC. So thank you for that. Basin Water Quality Councils, again, we as the Clean Water Service Provider, we're convening a basin. We're convening the council. We impaneled the council. Lots of emails from me saying, hi, people, please choose a representative for your category and all. And I'll be silent for 10 seconds while you guys just read that. Better if you guys just read it rather than me reading it. So the key role of the council is project prioritization and selection of clean water projects. And then the Clean Water Service Provider has the overall responsibility as administrators to see that these projects move forward. So our primary role is going to be facilitating subgrants, subcontracts with different entities who will carry out these projects. And as I'll touch on later, the key thing is that these are non-regulatory projects, so projects that are not required by a permit, shorthand. So the background, again, we have, so the basin, this is an eclectic mix of folks, because we're from, you know, everything from the small towns to the larger towns and suburban and rural. And rather than one unifying river that brings us together, it's all these little smaller streams that go straight into Lake Champlain. So we're kind of the what's the word, the poor stepchild of you know, or Cinderella, since we're not the Missisquoi, we're not the Lamoille, we're not the Winooski, and we're not Lewis Creek and Otter Creek down farther south. So again, we had 9 members of the Basin, of the Basin Water Quality Council. You can read that there. So thank you again for your efforts to come up with a selection. I want to for the natural resource conservation districts. You know, they got amongst themselves, and I thank Jill at VACD, you know, for helping to you know, get the member groups together. The RPCs have worked with Catherine Dimitrick and Charlie Baker on that respect, and a big shout out to Lynn Muno from the Watersheds United Vermont for helping to facilitate those discussions. There's your members. We're all here. We've all introduced ourselves, but that's what it looks like. Again, the administrative role. Charlie is the overall director. The buck stops with him, and my role is sort of more the day-to-day management. And then, of course, our other key partner in this is Karen Bates, you know, from the Basin 5 Water Quality Council. So again, this is kind of what the proposed membership looks like. Watershed organizations, the designated alternates, the municipal seats, sort of a floating alternate because there's a third person there, the NRCDs. Whoa, NRCD, same concept, 2 primary members with Lauren as a floating, Dean Pierce and Karen Adams for the RPC seats, and then Emily for the Land Conservation Org. We still need an alternate for the land conservation organizations. So again, there's been the state has been working on water quality for decades, and things in recent years have really gotten more energy and more focus. So you may remember Act 64 that helped to begin to establish some of these programs and new regulations of different sectors, as well as establishing the Clean Water Fund, and the state really doing a rigorous effort to track projects from beginning to end with databases and beginning to really go deep on tracking phosphorus reductions. And that's being done because of the need to meet the levels established in the TMDL, the total maximum daily load for Lake Champlain. And then the legislative act that really created clean water service providers and created the Basin Water Quality Council concept came out of Act 76. And I've sent you a copy of Act 76, as well as what's called the rule that implements it. And so if you think about, one way to think about clean water service provider model is it represents a regionalization of effort. It represents a collaborative mechanism, and it established several pots of money. And we'll get into that into some of our later meetings on the different grant sources for things. The one way to really, again, keep reminding yourselves, this is all about non-regulatory targets, which in each basin, the numbers probably vary from basin to basin, but 20% plus or minus is sort of a nice rule of thumb that the state committed to EPA that we're going to do. The state said we're going to do permit programs, and that's going to take care of 80% of the load reduction, and the remaining 20% is going to be done through these non-regulatory programs. And so they created the Clean Water Service Delivery Act, and then they've been working to populate the funding pools for that. But the whole quite what's the word, innovative to use this regional model and empowering regional entities for administrative roles like the RPCs, and then empowering us to further empower all the groups, you guys here on the call right now, to carry out these projects. Again, the focus is on non-regulatory phosphorus load reduction. And typically, this means those kinds of projects there. And I'll just take a minute to look at that. So a lot of these projects, almost by definition, are going to be on private land. They're going to take a lot of legwork to develop. People, in some cases, people know of projects, but there's a lot of project development work, project scoping, project exploration work that also needs to be done as well. And in the case of Lake Champlain, we have 6 basins involved in this, and then Lake Memphremagog also, there's a clean water service provider there, the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. And funds, I don't want to go into the details of this because it's challenging for me too of how the funds get allocated, but I'll show you some slides on that based upon standardized costs per unit for phosphorus reduced. One way to think of it, again, this is a very draft slide here, but take a moment to read this. This sort of gives you a sense of where the projected load reduction comes, either in the regulatory bucket or the non-regulatory bucket, depending upon the sector. So just take a minute to process that slide. So as you can see, a lot of the load reduction, pretty much all of it, is coming in the stream sector is non-regulatory. So a lot of our projects are going to be all about doing things in the streams, next to the streams, things like that. There is certainly are some forests projects that could be done depending on the area. And then of course, within the developed land, in the case of Chittenden County, a lot of the area is captured by the MS4 permit, as well as St. Albans, for example. And then you're starting to see the rollout of what's called the 3-acre permit or the 3-9050 permit. And of course, all the towns have been doing that MRGP, the Municipal Roads General Permit. So that captures a lot of the load reduction. But meanwhile, there's small parking lots that fall under that 3-acre threshold. There's private roads, for example, and there's also just sort of miscellaneous dispersed runoff from the developed landscape that is not the responsibility of the town and not the responsibility of a 3-acre permit. And the TS4, that's the transportation system for permit. That's for VTrans roads. So yeah, Route 2 runoff. Some of the other state roads, yes, VTrans is responsible for treating that, but so that's kind of the where the work needs to be done in those non-regulatory sectors. And there's a little bit of ag, but it gets a little more complicated there. Again, this is an older slide, but if you take a minute to look at this, you'll see where Basin 5 comes in terms of the total load reduction. And what you'll notice is that Basin 5, along with the Lamoille and to some extent Basins 2 and 4, are some of the lower amounts of preliminary reduction targets. You can see the Missisquoi obviously is a big one. And the Winooski one basin is pretty large, as well as the Otter, Lewis, and Little Otter, where the sectors come from. So again, this is an older chart, but this gives you some sense of the reductions. So that 40 kilograms per year is the target for Basin 5. The project funding in the neighborhood of 550,000 annually, plus or minus, and then administrative funding, which will cover a fair amount. I'll be working on this project quite a bit. I'll cover my time on that. So, and again, just to give a sense of what. So the lift is, that's a lot of phosphorus reduction work to do. But the good news is that on a cost per, this is different types of project categories you can see here in the stream projects. You can see that stream work, all the restorations and easements, the average cost per kilogram of phosphorus removed is quite efficient compared to a traditional stormwater pond, for example, or road work and all. So or lake shoreland. So that's the good news. That's the good news of it, and we've got it. We, along thanks to the state of Vermont and now potentially some federal funds as well too. The good news is that there's a lot of there's robust funding level, which is great. So now back again into the different roles that we'll play. My job as the clean water, our job here as clean water service provider here is to facilitate and staff these meetings, and I'll be working with the chair to put together the agenda and the materials, and then doing the analysis of projects for co-benefits. We are working in the first two tasks here, or the third bullet here, this one here, this identify and prioritize, that's really your job. And all, and then based upon how you prioritize which projects need to get work done, we will then work with the partners here to develop and implement the projects. For us, we at the RPC, we have a lot of consultants. We pass through funding to different groups, and that's kind of the role that main role that we'll be taking. We're not looking to staff up with, field technicians to go work in the field doing projects. That's not our job, and that's not our skill set. But we do have the overall responsibility to be sure that the projects are being operated and maintained. The ANR and DEC has been working on this. Of course, Karen Bates is going to be participating on the Water Quality Council. The state is working on what's called the Water Quality Restoration Formula Grant. That is the main grant category grant that will go to each clean water service provider. They will be up and running in July 1st for a big pot of money that we'll be able to allocate out. And they are setting out the targets, the 5-year targets for reduction. They're coming up with a standardized cost per unit, which will inform your decision making. Is a project cost effective, and is it, costing about as much as it should, roughly speaking. So that standardized cost provides a nice metric for you guys to compare if a project makes financial sense. And they've been working on, they've completed the rule already, which I emailed to you guys. And they will also, they're finalizing the guidance document for more detail on how the Clean Water Service Provider and the Basin Water Quality Councils will operate. So we've been working on, we've got a basic website and web page, which you would have seen. I sent the link out. I'll be working with Charlie and our administrative staff here on a grant and contract practices. This is something we do already, so it's pretty straightforward. The project tracking, we're kind of waiting for the state to come up with some of the data fields or what are the categories of information for each project, but we'll be working on that. Accounting's pretty straightforward. We'll use our existing CCRPC policies on that. We'll be working on the some of the Clean Water Service Provider policy. We'll tweak our procurement policy slightly because this is a little different. A lot of this is sub-granting as opposed to RFPs all the time. And we've been participating in DEC's Act 76 advisory group, as have many of you, to further refine the guidance. So it's a great partnership with DEC. Our next are concurrently, we're now sort of starting this phase 2, seating and pitching you guys, the Basin Water Quality Council, and we'll be working at the next couple of meetings on adopting meeting rules and policies, finalizing sort of a statement on what attendance and trainings. DEC is going to be working on some training videos and webinar type stuff. And then later this, maybe April, if things move fast, we'll be doing an RFQ, or request for qualifications. And that's really to establish the universe of people. Sorry, I just gotta let somebody in. They were there, maybe they got in. Excuse me, establish the universe of people. Sorry. All right, establish the universe of people for organizations who can get sub-grants from us. That'll make it easy to get funds out the door for projects. So again, your responsibilities is really about prioritization of the most significant water quality challenges and prioritizing those projects. You're essentially sort of approving a work plan in a way, and clusters of projects that come and have been analyzed. You are gonna work with myself and Karen, and you're gonna be looking at the Basin Plan document And then you'll also be participating in the Basin planning process for Basin 5 when it circles back around again for updating that document. So last couple things here. These meetings will be carried out according to Vermont Open Meetings Law. Some of the key things on that is that we will establish a regular meeting time, so that'll take care of the public notice component. Once you have that, agendas will always be posted at least 48 hours prior to a meeting on our website and distributed by email to you guys. This meeting was technically a special meeting, so I broadcast it out to all the media as well. The public participation policy, we'll touch on that. Again, I sent you, or it's posted on our webpage now on the Basin Water Quality Council page, the sort of a FAQ for Vermont Open Meeting Law. In general, we won't be doing any group emails, except we are allowed to discuss, developing the agenda, things like that. Minutes will go up within 5 calendar days, etc. It's probably at the next meeting or the meeting after that, you guys will formally adopt some sort of public participation policy about how agendas will be posted, how things will be publicized, how we'll have a chance for the public to comment and participate, things like that. Those are some of the policies you'll be working on. This is kind of self-explanatory, but this statement here will go on that, and I'll just give you a couple seconds to read that through. Sore throat. So again, this is hopefully going to be a very collaborative exercise amongst you guys. Working, what's nice is, we'll have some significant funding, at the start, and a lot of projects to get out the door, hopefully. So that'll be the another sort of policy of endorsement. This is some of the language out of the rule. You guys are knowledgeable on clean water. The rule, or excuse me, the guidance is going to look to attendance at 1/2 or more of the. Actually, no, this is right out of the rule itself. Excuse me, 39503. One of at least attendance at 1/2 or more of the scheduled meetings, and then a conflict of interest provision as well too. And that's it. I'm going to stop my screen share here, but we'll just open it up for. Again, we're just here at our inaugural meeting, but any quick questions, or you're really confused by something, fire away.
Hi, Dan. This is Karen.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you've gotten a sense of who might be moving any of these projects forward. Do we have an idea of who's doing this work and how substantial it is, given, in my world, we're under a permit, so they know it's us and they know what we have to do, but it seems like that's missing, at least for me.
Okay, well, I'll put Kent Henderson on the spot here, and then I'll ask the districts. Kent, I'll go to Kent first, then Kate Kelly, and then I'll go to the districts to kind of say, like, what do you got planned for this summer, and what do you need money for?
Hi, you kind of caught me by surprise. Like the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain has been working with NRPC and WOV through the block grants to identify projects, and we're trying to, through the Clean Water Portal, we're putting projects up on there, and we are assuming that will be a source of the for the work that we'll be looking at.
Okay. Kate?
Yeah, I think, I would, similar to Ken, I would say that, we have several projects that have been listed in various, reports and studies. Some of them are probably not feasible. Some of them may be feasible, but need updated, landowner outreach and communication to try to figure out what needs to happen, and then taking those next steps, whether it's, a design or, I don't think we're really ready to go to implementation on many of our projects. For those that we are ready for, we already have funding for through the block grants. But, potentially a lot of project development type work needs to be done to get projects ready to go to the next phase. And I guess that's where we're at.
Great. Molly?
Hi there. Speaking specifically for Grand Isle County Conservation District, I don't know if by this summer we'll have any projects set for implementation. I think we're going to be more focused on project development and trying to identify projects to move towards implementation and what that process would be.
Gotcha. Okay. Lauren or Remy?
I would agree with folks about project development. Knowing what the pool of funds is and what it can cover will be really helpful as we do more outreach. I think a lot of us have been building a lot of capacity lately. And so once we know what we have to work with, it'll go smoothly, hopefully.
Gotcha. Great.
Yeah, similar to what Lauren said, we've been working on building our capacity, currently in a staff transition. So working through that and getting the next new person up to speed. And then we've got a few projects that we're looking at in terms of project development and working toward design. I think most of those right now are in Basin 8, but we'll definitely be turning our attention toward Basin 5 as well.
Okay. Great. And Roger, anything for the Lake Iroquois?
And just had to unmute. We've got a couple of projects that we're working on, strictly we've got design done on one, so we're talking getting funding for an implementation. We're also very focused on the Lakewise program to get all residents on the lake involved in that. So that's a work in process, and we'll get that going much faster during the summer.
Great. All right, Emily?
Dan, if I might just add on as well onto Roger, Winooski NRCD, Lewis Creek Association, and Lake Iroquois Association are doing a lake watershed action plan for Lake Iroquois. So that'll help to develop a list of projects for future implementation.
Right.
And to piggyback off what Remy said, the Grand Isle County Conservation District, in partnership with South Hero Land Trust, are going to be developing a lake watershed action plan for the Keeler Bay area. So hoping that we'll have a number of projects identified out of that, and some brought up to 30% design that will be ready to go.
Cool. All right, let's wrap up these business items here. I guess if you have anything more folks to add, you can add it in the chat. We have our, just to for the record here, for the recording and for the minutes, the 9 appointed nominated members, watershed protection organizations, Ken Henderson and Andrea Morganti. The municipality seats, Dave Wheeler and Ken Mirvis. NRCD's Molly Varner and Remy Kratal. RPC's is Dean Pierce and Karen Adams and Emily Alger for land conservation organizations. Don McFeeters. So that's that. Okay. So now you guys, I will read the list of alternates, and then somebody can just make a motion as you guys are the members. For the watershed organizations is be Don McFeeters will be the alternate for Kent. Roger will be the alternate for Andrea, and Thomas will be a floating alternate for either of the municipal seats, Thomas Prieselden, and Lauren will be the alternate for the NRCDs. Catherine Dimitrick will be Dean's alternate, and Miles Waite will be Karen's alternate. So one of the members want to move that slate of alternates.
Move, Dan.
Thanks. Who was that?
Dean.
Dean, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was
Dave
who was the
Wheeler.
second? All right, thank you. Everybody in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Cool.
Aye.
Awesome.
Aye.
All right. Anybody want to be the chair or the vice chair?
Dan, could I ask a question?
Yes.
Did anyone indicate interest in serving as chair or vice chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You want to reveal yourself, Ken? I'm putting you on the spot.
I'll make a nomination to nominate Kent as the chair. This is Andrea.
No, it was Ken. Ken.
Oh.
I want to be clear, Dan. I did not say I wanted to. I said if you were desperate, I would consider. And as I'm listening to this conversation and listening to how knowledgeable so many people are on the council, I'm realizing that I'm just a little bit too green. I know so I feel so much of a beginner going into this. I'm not sure that I would be a right person.
Gotcha. All right, so sounds good. Any other volunteers then?
Dean here, continuing. I have an unfair advantage because I've actually been part of a Zoom meeting with Ken, and Ken, I think you're being a little too hard on yourself. I think you have the temperament, the demeanor to be a good chair. So I guess I would ask you, are you firmly against the idea of being a chair if there are no other people here who are interested in serving as chair?
I would be a whole lot more comfortable being in a support position than a leadership position. If there was someone who would be chair, I would be very happy to be and right at your back arm. But I think somebody who understands the playing field might be a lot more effective.
Okay. Andrea, are you interested, and do you have the time to serve as chair?
At this point, I don't really have the time to serve as chair. And I think I would just kind of mention to Ken that the role of the chair is really to conduct the meetings and to keep it smooth. And I don't think that any kind of particular technical knowledge is important. So I think from what Dean said, it sounds like you might have the skills, but not necessarily the nitty gritty in the weeds that the rest of us are. So, but
I can assure you, I know no weeds whatsoever, other than some Eurasian milfoil.
But Dan is there for the weeds.
Yes, my job will be in the weeds and take care of all the paperwork. And
not inclined to take on much extra.
Yeah, Ken, you might want to mute yourself. Are there any other folks who might have an interest? So Ken, if I was to go so far as to make a motion, would you leave me in an embarrassing position?
I would be glad to make a motion to appoint Dean as to nominate Dean as our chair.
That's not very nice, Andrea.
Sorry. I didn't want to put you in the position of nominating yourself.
No, I guess I would continue to make the pitch that I think Ken has what it takes to be a good chair, and I would just like to know whether or not if I moved his selection as chair, if he would refuse.
And you made me think. No, I feel very committed to the work of this council, and I really want to see it succeed, and I'm honored to be part of it. I just really question whether or not I would be nearly as effective as some of you others might be.
Okay, I will stop harassing you. But no, Andrea, I'm not interested in serving as chair myself.
Right, sorry.
Yeah. One thing to mention perhaps is that because I'm involved with other quists, there is the question of how quickly does a chair and vice chair, do they have to be identified? Would it serve this group well if we decided not to make a decision today and could deal with it at what might be our next meeting, which is hopefully in the next month or so, Dan?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. We can move on to that. All right. Well, we'll do some more behind the scenes work. All right, since we don't have a
And
chair.
can I make a suggestion? And
Yeah,
I will step forward if you want. Can we have a revolving chair so it's not a one-year commitment? And I would be happy to work with you to chair the first meeting.
I mean, it says just says we're supposed to have a chair and a vice chair. There's no provision for a co-chair. It's annoying that way. But from a practical standpoint, and not to take any, I'm not claiming any authority. From a practical standpoint, I will be doing a lot of the talking and facilitating and presenting and things like that. It's really about when there's discussion that needs to be moderated. That's the main role of the chair. And then I will be working with them on drafting the agenda, developing the agenda. But again, it's mostly from a proofread standpoint, that kind of thing. So.
Is the idea of a one-year commitment essential, or can a chair resign at some point?
I'm sure you could always step down. There's nobody can force you to do it. So.
Well, if the group chooses, I will at least get started in it for the first meeting or so.
Sounds great. Somebody want to make that a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Ken as chair. This is Dave Wheeler.
I second the motion.
Thanks. All right, motion's been made and second there. All those in favor of Ken Mirvis for chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, now Ken, you can strong arm somebody to be your vice chair. I'll turn it over to you.
Pardon me, I've got a phone ringing in the background. Since I don't know a single person on the council, it would be hard for me to select someone, but the only one I could think of is Molly, only because we are both here on the islands.
I would second that nomination if Molly was willing to serve.
Sure. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to appoint Molly as vice chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay. So Ken, I'll just update you as far as the proposed meeting time. And you can basically it comes down to it's a Wednesday, either the first Wednesday of the month, the third Wednesday, or the fourth Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 as a regular meeting time. From a staffing perspective, either the third Wednesday or the fourth Wednesday is preferential. And if I had to choose, third Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 seemed to work for most everybody. Thomas, I was trying to get a hold of you if you're still there. If you were needed as an alternate, do you have the ability to pop on out of work briefly for those meetings?
I do. Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, great. Awesome. So
Dan?
yeah, go ahead.
Dan, for what it's worth, wouldn't you know, the timing is such that for the, if it turns out to be the third Wednesday in April, I will be traveling.
Okay. Sure, Molly can fill your shoes. But in general, okay. So yeah, so third Wednesday is good because I have a clean water meeting and stormwater meeting and always the first Tuesday of the month. So third Wednesday from a staffing, getting materials ready seems to work best. So Mr. Chair, that what seems to work best, third Wednesday at 10 to 11:30 is a standing meeting time.
Good. And we will plan to meet an hour and a half at each meeting.
Yeah.
And I believe you said at one point, Dan, that we were going to start meeting monthly and probably within the first 3 to 4 months, we would be meeting quarterly.
Yeah, there's going to be a little lift here to get all these policies and documents approved and start looking at a list of projects. But hypothetically, once we get the first set of grants out the door, June, July, August, then we have to take a break, but.
Good. So I guess as chair, is there any other discussion? We've confirmed the meeting time. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Wait.
Oh.
Let's see if anybody else has any other updates. Karen Bates, do you have anything to add on behalf of the department, or still there, or any of the partner organizations?
Hi, I am looking forward to working with you all and am open to calls and emails for questions regardless of, that I'll be here. So outside of this meeting, I am available to you all. Andrea?
Yeah, for projects to be eligible, do they need to be in the Basin plan at this point?
Well, they
Or
have to
can
be
we
in the
do
water
projects.
So the water project, the watershed projects database is where they need to be, and I am the person you send the project idea to. And then I will make sure it fits our criteria and add it in.
So you can add it in any time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess from a staffing perspective here, one thing, again, as DEC will freely admit, they know they are flying the plane while they're building it. So there's not yet, we haven't issued a call for proposals. We haven't got the grant money yet. We haven't started the RFQ process, but it doesn't stop you from working with Karen, making sure at a minimum your projects are in the database, begin to think about, what kind of work you want to do this summer. We will endeavor to get the funds out the door as quick as possible. And DEC also recognized that a lot of the work this summer will just be project development and design work. Obviously, some are shovel ready, but a lot of it's going to be just development, identification, talking to landowners, and design.
And I would encourage you all to sign up for the Clean Water series, lecture series. I will be giving the next lecture on the 31st at 12 o'clock, talking about clean water projects from start to finish, basically what makes a successful project. So I think especially for those of you who haven't been part of project development, it will be useful. And I don't know, Dan, if you want to just send out the link or if
yeah, I'll send it. I'll get I get those notices so I can forward to the group.
Yeah, I was just thinking I had forgotten about it, but yeah, that would be a great way to introduce some of you who haven't been involved to the project development process.
And last thing, Mr. Chair, I'll work with you on agenda items, but it will be some of these policy statements, maybe a first draft of the proposed request for qualifications, things like that. So I'll work with the chair on that.
And Dan, in terms of open meeting law, you and I are free to work as closely together as necessary.
Yeah, and indeed, if it's really sort of finalizing the agenda, it's okay for all the members to look at a draft agenda. That's okay.
Good.
And
Thank
now
you.
I think.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? And I would thank you all for the honor of being the chair, but since none of you know me either, I will accept that it's by default, but I'm really honored to be part of the group.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Do I hear a vote?
Aye.
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 Thanks a lot,
First
everybody.
meeting of the Basin 5 Water Quality Council, I guess, is adjourned.
Awesome. You did it, Ken. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to
Thank you.
several more years. All right.
Thanks.